Good morning, Gambia Diaspora, and good morning, Gambia, especially those set of diaspora that are so concerned with the National Assembly on constitutional act of eroding or removing your voting rights in the election act that is before the National Assembly at a consideration stage. This is one thing that the National Assembly and the Gambians should understand, that removing the removing the diaspora right to vote in the election act is done in excess of legislative authority of the National Assembly, and the National Assembly should understand that they have acted in excess of their legislative authority. They don't have right to remove diaspora right to vote in the election act, and it's now left for the diaspora. Because why I say the National Assembly has acted in excess of their legislative authority, if everybody can remember, shortly before 2021 election, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏 and others versus IEC and the Attorney General. Do you understand? One of their prayers was particularly on Section 39 of the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. Now, in the floor of the National Assembly, what some of us were arguing, or what some of them were arguing, was Section 39, especially the last part of Section 39, which says diaspora shall register in the National Assembly constituency of the Gambia. In fact, this was the issue of interpretation. But if you go by the Supreme Court ruling, Supreme Court ruling that was delivered in the case of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏 and others versus the IEC and the Attorney General, one of the prayers that the Supreme Court said, and I quote, "In lieu of an order as prayed for by the plaintiffs, this court finds and declares that, pursuant to Section 39 of the Constitution, every Gambian, including those residing outside the jurisdiction, is entitled to register for and vote in elections to the offices of President, members of the National Assembly, for local government office and traditional rulers, as well as in referenda." This is clear. So, if National Assembly went ahead and erode this particular ruling of the Supreme Court, now one will ask yourself, what is the essence of the separation of power? Because National Assembly, the Supreme Court ruling came before this election act. So National Assembly, they have no right, they have no damn right to remove this particular clause from the election bill. If you look at the Supreme Court reasoning, because as I said, this is what the Supreme Court said: in lieu of an order as prayed for by the plaintiffs, that is 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏 and others, this court finds and declares that, pursuant to Section 39 of the Constitution, every Gambian, including those residing outside the jurisdiction, is entitled to register for and vote in elections to the offices of the President, members of the National Assembly, for local government office and traditional rulers, as well as in referenda. This is clear. So why will National Assembly go further and deny diaspora of this entrenched right, the right that has been restored by the Supreme Court of the Republic of the Gambia? Now, what is left with the diaspora? I don't think the diaspora can also go to the court for now, because the bill is not still passed. It's still with us in the National Assembly. The diaspora can only go to the court when the bill is passed into law. Do you understand? But now the bill is before us for the consideration stage. So the diaspora can only wait, and in the very day the National Assembly passed this bill into law, then you go to the Supreme Court and get answers. You can also prevail on the National Assembly. Another option is all the hopes are not still lost. The diaspora can still prevail on the National Assembly members and bring back this provision, because in the consideration stage we are still looking at the bill clause by clause, provision by provision, from the first provision up to the last provision. But if anybody can also bring another amendment to make sure that this particular provision that denied the diaspora to vote to be brought back to the election bill, So it's still possible. So what the diaspora should now do is to organize themselves and prevail on the National Assembly to make sure that this provision is restored back to the bill. Or they can only wait when the bill is passed into the law. They go to Supreme Court and get answers. And one of my debate, I told National Assembly members, why are we going to be so reckless? Why are we going to be so unconcerned that citizens will always want to go to Supreme Court to get answers of the laws we made in the National Assembly? Because one thing I told them, if this is the trend, then our role as National Assembly